Hello Internet, my name is Tara, and welcome to my vlog. Today we're going to be talking about transgenderism, which isn't a thing that trans people usually say. After all, it's not like all trans people believe the same things. There's no trans pope telling us all what to think. But, even though I may not like it, the right is using that word, and I don't want to give them the last word on that word. If they're going to be talking about us, it's only fair that we get our 2 cents in. After all, if some kid is just Googling transgenderism, I don't want PragerU to be the only thing they see. So, for this video, I'm adopting their terminology, trying to reach them where they're at. After all, everybody deserves to hear both sides of the story. I'm going to try to be as politically neutral as I can. Obviously, this is a contentious topic, and also, obviously, I have one side that I'm on. However, bringing in additional political topics would just muddy the waters. So what is transgenderism? Well, since it's mostly used as a scare word, I'm going to have to give it a more neutral definition. So, for the purposes of this video, transgenderism is simply the idea that trans people should be tolerated within society and that one's gender identity is an innate characteristic similar to sex or race, and should therefore be protected. This would also include allowing trans people to dress the way that they like, access to a legal name change, and access to transition-related care. There are other trans-related issues too, such as what bathroom should trans people use? Should minors who are trans have access to transition-related medical care? Should trans people play sports with the team corresponding to their gender identity, or their gender assigned at birth? These are all difficult questions, and as such don't strictly fall under the definition of transgenderism noted above. You could support trans people being in society, but disagree with the trans position on some of these more advanced topics. However, they're still important questions, so I'd like to address them. In this series, I'm going to break down each argument in full, but I'd like to start off by showing what each side has to prove. Anti-trans societies often promote certain kinds of narratives. They tend to say that either trans people don't exist at all, or that being trans is a choice, a fetish, a preference. Failing that, anti-trans societies claim that trans people are harming others and therefore shouldn't be tolerated. In order to demonstrate that society shouldn't tolerate trans people, one would need to prove that simply leaving trans people alone would cause demonstrable harm. If being trans were a choice, akin to a hobby, there would still need to be harm, or else banning it would be draconian. On the other hand, if being trans is in fact an innate characteristic of a person, then the amount of harm that trans people do would need to be immense before it would be morally acceptable to ostracize them. On the other hand, a full victory for transgenderism would entail proving that trans people do exist as a distinct category, that being trans is not a choice, and that trans people are not harming others, or at least not more than any other innate characteristic. If being transgender were either harmful or not innate, then the argument would be inconclusive. If trans people can't help but be trans, but being trans does cause harm, the government would still have a vested interest in stopping harmful behavior. Vice versa, if being trans were generally not harmful, but is a choice, then trans people wouldn't need any special protection or tolerance. Both sides need to win both points in order to either ban trans people on the one hand, or afford them special protection on the other. Obviously, as a trans person myself, my claim is that being trans is not harmful and is not a choice, similar to one's race or sex. But obviously, that needs to be proven, which I'll be doing in some upcoming videos. If you want to see more videos about logic and philosophy, let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see the next videos in this series. Stay sane out there, and I'll see you next week.